Relationships from a Mace Energy Method perspective. As long as there is acceptance of another's viewpoint and one party is not trying to control or possess the other, then most relationships have the potential to be harmonious, or at least neutral. Each individual will have a certain degree of emotional stability and a particular attitude about life, which affects their relationships. We not only have relationships with other people, but we also have relationships with groups, organizations, and things. Respect for the other, or other's viewpoint, and a free exchange of views are the criterion for a good relationship. The most fundamental or simplistic relationship is between two people. There is an energy exchange between the two individuals. So the basic building block of any relationship is the individual. The success, happiness, or love achieved in any relationship is dependent upon the individual's concern, which in turn depends upon the emotional stability and attitude of each participant as an individual. To quote John Mace, relationships are the very fabric of life. Our survival as a species depends upon them. Our personal happiness revolves around them. Unfortunately, they are also the source of so much misery when they go wrong. In relationship, each person will have created an image of the other person, an identity of the other, and it's the identity of the other through which they perceive others. Accordingly, they create another identity which reacts to the other person through that perception. For instance, if someone is lazy and that irritates you, resulting in you having a negative reaction, then that is because you have created a negative identity about laziness, and you've also created a negative identity that reacts to the laziness in others, because you will perceive them through the negative identity about laziness that you initially created. The initial negative identity concerning laziness could mean that you may also consider yourself lazy, but not necessarily. It could be that you witnessed that trait in someone else and decided laziness was a bad thing. Regardless of another's behavior, it's one's own identity that's responsible for allowing discord. So if you're having a negative reaction to someone, regardless of how horrible their behavior is, all that needs to be done is to eliminate your negative identity that you are perceiving through, and to eliminate your negative identity that you are reacting through. No, you can at times rationally respond with a negative emotion, the key word being rational, because reactions are irrational and responses are rational. Once you no longer perceive the other person from the shortcoming point of view, you'll be more understanding, more objective about them, instead of reacting to them, and only then will the situation resolve. You will respond rationally as opposed to reacting irrationally. Without the negative identities, you will now exhibit a different frequency, a different energy when you're around that type of person, which will allow for a potentially harmonious relationship. To reiterate, when you point the finger at someone, there's always 3 fingers pointing back at you. So whatever you don't like in someone else, there's an aspect of that in you. Now again, this doesn't mean that if you react negatively to alcoholics that you have an alcoholic in you, because you could have had an alcoholic role model and decided that being an alcoholic must be horrible. Now that's an identity that you've created about alcoholics. When you interact with an alcoholic or someone you perceive to be an alcoholic, you perceive them through the negative identity you've created, and you react accordingly through another of your created identities. Eliminate the identity you created about alcoholics, and eliminate the identity that reacts to alcoholics, and you'll no longer have irrational reactions with regards to someone who drinks alcohol. Handling upsets and relationship repair are 2 components of a Mace Energy Method session, of which there are 5 components. In both of these processes, the negative identities are eliminated, which prevents future negative reactions and ensures future rational responses. When one person in a relationship has clear perspective without negative identities clouding their perception of the other person or thing, then the relationship will change for the better. Even if there is not enough common interest to maintain the relationship, there can be an amicable parting of ways.